Oh, honey, that looks like it feels really good. I think I can feel my neck popping just watching it. Okay. That is what I need. Okay. That I don't know what's going on. I think we were just talking about it backstage. I don't know what's going on in the cosmos or whatever. I think you lady said it was Jupiter retrograde. I think Uranus is in retrograde, and then Mercury is getting ready to everything just fix to be ass backwards around here. But in actuality, I think some things are getting straightened out. Okay,
Right,
I think that there are some things that are getting straightened out in the universe. I think that we all of us who anybody that has done any work on yourself, anybody who has done anything to try to improve, you're going to the next level. There are
right,
people awakening, to their divine purpose, awakening to, a higher purpose, to what God has planned for them. People that might have been stagnant or getting out of ruts, the wheel is turning, even if it turned backwards. Sometimes, I don't know if y'all have been ever been stuck in the mud before, but I'm from East Texas and I've been stuck in the mud before. And so, sometimes you got to spin it back. Okay. And then so
yes,
it'll get
ma'am.
going forward. But I really do feel the elevation, just because everything is popping off. Do y'all agree?
Yes, ma'am. I
Hmm.
totally agree
Hmm.
with you.
Agreed.
Yes, everything is popping off and it's a good pop off. It's almost like I don't know, it's almost like fireworks, like the 4th of July. We just came off of a
Yes, ma'am.
holiday or whatever. you know. But we are here. Stephanie and I are here tonight with Envy Home. I love that name, honey.
Yes,
Envy
ma'am.
Home, the Tarot Queen of Swords. All right. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to, just kind of introduce this situation. They say there's at least about 6 degrees of energy that a person will come into, that they're kind of come into your energy. So it's not like I know her, but I know somebody that knows somebody. You know what I mean?
Right, right. Yes, ma'am. Totally do.
And so it happens. And so if y'all, want to know, what's the latest popping off with Miss Envy Home, going over to her page. It just sound like it sound Envy Home. And you know what? I love that name because the word of God tells us that we don't have to envy anyone, that we are each fearfully and wonderfully made in his image, that we don't have to compete. We all have a unique and divine purpose in this world, and it is to him be all dominion, power, and glory anyway. So whom shall I fear? Whom shall I envy? You know,
Yes.
I mean, if I was, it was really truly refreshing coming across your energy, Envy Home. And I am not a stalker, but I did get led to a live that you were broadcasting on Facebook, and it really was, the subject of that live, it was not really the subject of that live that got my attention, but it was your energy. It was the vibe. It was the universal truth that was spoken. I didn't even really know a whole lot about what was going on. But as you were speaking, there was truth. And
Right,
because truth recognizes truth. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to reach out. And, I know if you're anything like me, you're a little bit of an introvert, a little bit of an empath, or a lot of it. And so when
right,
people come across you, they automatically get, like the hand, like, wait a minute, heart, who goes there, who sent you,
Right.
right.
type of
Yes,
thing,
Right.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You
you
got to
know.
protect who comes into your space. Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely, you do have to protect your energy. And so I see people struggling all the time with what they believe and how to apply what they believe to their lives. I personally am a student and I never stop learning. Okay. Life is a mystery to me. I never stop learning about God. I never stop questioning reality. I never stop testing my foundation you know.
Right,
And so the tarot was something that I found about 2, 3, 4 years ago. And s- sometimes the things that we don't understand can cause an irrational fear. Okay.
correct.
And so all my life, this is just tarot has always been something that was taboo, something occult to this, that, or the other. But the Holy Spirit gave me permission to pursue further, to pursue things like the tarot, the law of attraction, sound healing, meditation, chanting, self help. And it's actually, through looking for self help videos and healing from narcissistic abuse and all that kind of thing, and that I
Hmm.
found the tarot. I found it to be a very unique and powerful tool to aid me in developing as a healer of my own mind, body, and soul, but also for other people's. I really have come into my power. I'm a reader myself. I'm not a tarot reader. I'm a reader of books. I'm a reader of philosophies and doctrines and all of that kind of thing. And so my mind is completely open, and and my heart and my spirit is open. So that's why I invited you here, because I kind of want to demystify the tarot, to let people know that it is a very useful thing. As I've been doing my research, I found that it's using tarot in an appropriate way can enhance therapy. A lot of the readers, as I went into finding out about tarot, I ran across and researched different readers. People use therapy and psychotherapy. Many of the readers are actual life coaches and use the tarot in that. And so it is definitely a tool. Okay. And so you can definitely find a deck in your local therapist's office. There's some very real psychological applications. And one famous tarot, actually psychotherapist that used the tarot was Carl Jung, even with his work with Albert Einstein. So it's definitely something that deserves our attention, and to have a real authentic, rational conversation in the light, Envy. Do you
Right.
understand what I'm saying? Okay.
Okay.
So go ahead. I want you to just introduce yourself and take as much time as you need to express yourself however you want.
Well, I'm referred to as Indie Hoom or Queen, Tarot Queen of
Mhm.
Swords LLC.
Mhm.
I stepped into tarot about 3 years ago, and it was due to dealing with narcissistic abuse and things of that
Mhm.
nature.
Mhm.
um, was in a very broken place, I'll say that. And I had to work on inner healing of myself and things that I was accepting in my life, not just personal
Mm.
relationships, but with family, allowing them to abuse me, take advantage of me, friends. And so I did a complete, I wouldn't say a complete 360, more like a 180, still working on that.
Mhm.
But
Wow.
I found tarot to be a passion of mine,
Mhm.
and I dug deeper in it. I learned what the cards meant, how to relate them to my life, different meditations that I could do, different omens that I could use. And so I started looking into crystals as well, which ones would help me heal, what I needed to do, how I need to pray, how I needed to meditate. So that's how I fell into this. So as I fell into tarot, um, people would call me somewhat of an empath. I'm
Mhm.
intuitive. I'm not psychic. I will never say that I'm psychic because I'm not.
Mhm.
I will never say that I'm God, and I never play God. Let's be clear on
Mhm.
that. Um, so as I dug deeper into tarot, my gifts enhanced to where I started reading energy, picking up on energy, voices, pictures, looking at pictures and reading people. So I have a variety of things that I do, but it keeps me centered and grounded. And, when I need to put somebody in a place, I do that. Not
Okay.
often, though. Okay.
But you know what? That is one thing that actually does develop envy went out of that, because it's not really about putting a person in their place. That's not it. It's about standing up for yourself, and
Right.
it's about speaking your truth, because as an empath, we tend to be the doormats. If we allow that type of thing, we can be a doormat, and it's not even, you know that I saw somebody posted something about it being a doormat, and that they'll get mad because you're not flat enough, you know. And
Hmm.
when you mention that you did that as a part of healing, it definitely resonates because, there's a certain level. I've been to a actual therapist in their office before, but
Hmm.
there's a certain level of healing that has to be done just between you and God, you
Yes,
know.
ma'am.
Correct.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
there has got to be another perspective, something that you may not get from your pastor, your preacher, your teacher, your therapist. There's a level of insight, which was what I found in discovering the tarot. I was listening to people tell my story that knew nothing about me.
Hmm.
Okay. And even telling the story from the other perspective or from another perspective, which is also important, because a lot of times we think that it's all about us. We think that
Hmm.
it's only our way. We can only see our truth.
Right.
Okay. And that has actually helped with a lot of healing and forgiveness for me.
I can agree.
And you were saying that you were able to forgive some family. Can you go into more into how this can happen? Because I know
Hmm.
for me, like I said, it caused some forgiveness, and but I was forgiving things that I really didn't even know needed to be forgiven until I discovered it through the tarot.
Um, well, for me, it was a lot of gaslighting. It was a
Mm,
lot of projection. It was a lot of, well, you did this. When I attempt to explain myself to certain people, well, this is how you make me feel. Well, you don't have to yell. Why are you yelling? Well, you do this. It was projection. So I found myself apologizing for things that I didn't do,
mm-hmm,
saying I'm sorry. So at that point, I started setting healthy boundaries. And the
mm,
first time I told a relative no, I then saw how their actions distance themselves away from me. So all I needed to do was say that one no. And they were leeching off of me. They really
mm,
were. I was
mm,
taking care of people, they weren't contributing. And so I start saying no because it becomes draining because you care so much and you care about their well being. But what
mm,
are the steps that they are taking in order to better their life? So once I start telling people no, and that's across the board, family, friends, partners, people start disappearing. I stopped hearing from them. And I didn't take it
oh, look at
personally.
her.
I
Mm-hmm,
didn't take it
Yes, ma'am.
personally,
Yes, ma'am.
because I understand and knew in order for me to grow, in order for me to be blessed, and in order for the Most High to bless me with, to step into my divinity, I had to let them go. And they weren't on the journey with me. A spiritual journey is a solo journey, and people fail to realize that.
mm-hmm,
You may
Yes, ma'am,
come
they
across
do.
people that will come into your life, and I tell people this also. You either learn the lesson or be the lesson. And I
mm-hmm.
Yes,
refuse to
ma'am.
be the lesson. I refuse to go through the same cycles over and over,
Yes.
knowing, okay, I see this as it's coming. That's a red flag. You're taking my kindness for weakness. No, I can't do this for you. No, I refuse to allow you to yell at me. No, I refuse to allow you to mentally abuse me. And once you start doing that, they
Mm-hmm.
start falling off. And then you see people's true colors. The mask comes off, as I state.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
with forgiveness, for me, it's more or less, I accepted what was done.
Mm-hmm.
I handle it in the way I felt spiritually I should have handled
Mm-hmm.
it, and I move on. I can love you from a distance, but I mean, you can't be in my energy field draining me. Because a lot of times when you go through this type of abuse, whether it's mental, physical, spiritual, it's so draining and it allows you to age so quickly when you
Yes.
go through this. And when you walk away, you feel as though a weight has been lifted off of you because you've endured so much and you're so caring, you're
Yes.
so genuine, and you're pouring into people, but they're not pouring back into you.
Mm-hmm.
Right, right.
And that's part of self-discovery and healing in that. But you know what? It's also a domino effect because your healing is also going to jumpstart somebody else's healing.
Right.
Right, right.
Mhm.
A lot of times it can be the domino effect. They can
Mhm.
see you healing and growing, and then it trickles down. Right. So much truth
Mhm.
spoken into that. Yes, ma'am.
It's almost like they can't help but to heal.
Right.
Yes.
I want to look at one of the most feared cards in the deck, the devil card. I told you I would bring this one up, and a lot of times when people see this one, I guess when they see this come up in a reading, I've learned a lot from the devil card.
Okay. Now the
Yes.
devil. Go ahead. I didn't know if you want to elaborate
No,
on
you
that or
go
not, but
ahead. I want you to go
um,
ahead because what I've learned from the devil card, I'm gonna have to just hold my peace. I'm gonna
okay.
let you because you're the expert.
Um, the with the devil card, a lot of people fear it.
Mhm,
I don't, as well as the death card. They fear that one, I think, the most. But
mhm,
with that devilish energy, that can be internal conflicts as well. Internal
mhm,
battles that you refuse to acknowledge and heal that you're fighting. Sometimes you can be fighting an internal battle and not even know it. And that stems from any type of addictions you have, whether it's codependency, whether it's abandonment issues. When it comes to sexuality, that could be any type of succubus, or as they say, very sexual, promiscuous energy within you or anyone else. And as
mhm,
far as attachment, that goes back to what I was saying as far as codependency. Because a lot of times you'll have devilish energy. Say you're codependent on coffee, right?
mhm,
I need that to jumpstart my day every day. And so the one day you can't get it because you're rushing out to work and you couldn't make a pot of coffee, mentally, psychologically, I didn't have my coffee. So now my day is about to be bad.
Right.
That could
mhm,
stem from devilish energy as well as far as an attachment. So it's not just spiritually or physically, mentally, overall, the devilish energy could be an internal conflict. And a lot of people think it's outside forces, but it's really not. A lot of
mhm,
times it could be around you, it could be within you
mhm.
when that devil card pops up.
Right. And so part of healing is really discovering those parts, those devilish parts about you, the
Correct.
things, and this is where we get, and so for me, this is where the rubber meets the road for this therapy, as well as introducing, the aspect of religion, or for me, Christianity, where we look at sin. We can define sin as that's defined as the lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life. That's what all this is. You know, this is where it shows you, how these things can negatively affect your life,
Right.
and how being controlled by these things, the lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life, that they will cause negative attachments, sexual immorality, all of those things
Right.
that add up to that. So getting this card, then it's just going to get, what advice do you give for the devil card coming up?
Um, when the devil card pop, well, it depends on if it's upright or in the reverse. Now, if it's upright,
Mm.
um, I would say take a good look in the mirror because a lot of
Absolutely.
people like to point fingers.
Hmm.
Right.
And healing starts with you. It doesn't
Hmm.
start with blaming others. So, with the devilish card or the devil card, I would say take a look at yourself first
Yeah.
and work on those traumas that you have endured, that you're creating sometimes for yourself as well, because
Hmm.
the mind can play many tricks on you. But
Hmm.
Yes, ma'am.
um, I would say when you get this card, don't be afraid. Work on you, work on healing, work on what is causing the conflict. And most of the time, it may be mental, it could be
Hmm.
physical, but a lot of times we create our own chaos
Hmm.
within our mind. I wouldn't be afraid of it though. In the reverse, though, that means you're working on self healing, self care. Um, you're removing people, places, and things that no longer serve you from your life. But that devilish energy is also representative of Capricorn, so I would be mindful of that. Not to say all Capricorns are devils,
Hmm.
but just be mindful of that. But I wouldn't be
Hmm.
afraid of any card that flips over, especially that one.
Absolutely. Well, like I said, that sometimes the things we don't understand can cause an irrational fear,
Hmm.
and so we are to fear no evil. So even if we do see the devil card come up, then to me that just means get busy, get to work, get this addiction, this codependency, whatever it
Anger.
is,
Correct.
identify it. And that's what I like about the tarot because it does help to pinpoint and identify specifically the issue that we need to work on because then, according to the reading, it will either resonate or it won't.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
And some people try to make it fit, don't make it fit.
Hmm.
And sometimes it may not have happened yet.
That's true.
That is
One
true.
thing about energy is so fluid, and I always look, when the word says that there is no temptation that is not that is uncommon to man. There's things that we go through that it's just gonna cycle. You know what I'm saying? If we keep going through the same thing, if we keep doing the same thing, what is that insanity? We're still gonna get the same result, right?
Results. Right.
Correct.
Okay. So that right there is that negative cycle, that traumatic cycle, that vicious cycle that, where people keep going around and around with these negative attachments and addictions.
Right.
And that actually came out in a reading for me, whereas I really didn't consider myself as I thought I had gotten out of that. You know what I'm saying? One thing about
Hmm.
this is that it will cause you to heal in places where you thought you had already healed.
Correct.
Right.
Somebody put something out there, somebody I didn't heal, I just kept limping along, you know what I'm saying? Or just
Hmm.
I just kept going. And that's how we do so many times. And that's why, there's times when we get to the age that I am and whatever ages you are, where we still having the same problems.
Right. We keep
Correct.
putting a band-aid on it instead of fixing it.
Correct.
Hmm. And sometimes don't even put a band-aid, just let it scab over and just be
Right.
out here like a big old sore.
You right about that.
Oh my goodness. But the power of the healing that comes from that, like I said, not only personal healings I've been able to go into, we have this is a spiritual battle anyway.
Yes, ma'am, it
Okay.
is.
And people need to understand that and that's really what I'm here because I would like for people to kind of wake up. I would like for people to wake up and so that we can elevate because that's the only way that we're ever going to make things vibrate higher on this planet. Okay, first of all, we need to understand there was a war in heaven. Okay,
Yes,
there was a
ma'am.
war in heaven. So it is, and a lot of times people they'll say they'll believe, you know, they'll believe the good and not the bad, or they'll believe the bad and not the good. Like they like
They'll pick and choose.
yeah, that one thing about it is you even if you don't believe in religion or spirituality, if all you believe in science, then believe the theory of relativity.
That's
I'm
right.
believe that what goes up, what must come down. That for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. There's a
Yes,
spirit of
ma'am.
truth and a spirit of error. I mean, at least the thing about it is that this universal truth can be found on any level.
True.
Okay. So, but I believe that anything that provides a deeper insight into the spirit of truth, I'm always open to learning about it, and even if it may take me into a darker place. And I want to go into some of that, the history
Hmm.
of the tarot has been a
Hmm.
little, not accepted by the mainstream, by the church, in some circles, and even um, uh, people have used it to perform dark magic, dark any kind of darkness. But the thing about it is,
Hmm.
I'm a child. I've been in a church all my life. You know what I'm saying? And people have used the Bible the same way. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
People
yes,
have used the Bible to hurt other people. People have used the Bible. I've been in church, and the people have used the Bible and used their privilege to hurt other people and to
yes, ma'am.
oppress other people and keep them
Right.
down and to, and to abuse them. So, so I take the reins off where it comes to something like this, that it
Mhm.
can indeed be a tool of the divine. Can you elaborate on that?
So, what you're referring to is witchcraft, black magic, what have you. I'll say this.
Mhm.
Um, Religion, spirituality, everyone has rituals, right?
Mhm.
So, say my ritual is to pray and meditate, burn my sage, say my omens, take time for myself, take a spiritual bath, right? That could be
Mhm.
my ritual. Now, in religion, there are rituals also. Taking communion is a ritual,
Right,
baptism is a ritual.
Mhm.
correct.
So, when you look at it in the sense of, oh, it's negative because it goes against what was written for us to follow, i.e., the Bible.
Mhm.
Um, Me personally, I don't use my tools and what I've gained as far as knowledge regarding tarot for bad. I never
Mhm.
have, despite what
Mhm.
anyone may say.
Mhm.
I do it for manifestation, I do it for protection. Me, I'm a firm believer of because of what I've been through, and this has helped me to heal. I
Mhm.
refuse to do anything dark or black in regards to anyone.
Mhm.
So a lot of times people fail to realize you reap what you sow, right? What goes
You
around
do.
comes around, which is karma. So the
Mhm.
Yes, ma'am.
seeds you plant, make sure you're genuine
Right,
in
Mhm.
those seeds that you're planting. Make sure
right,
you're
Mhm.
honest. Because if you go against the grain and you go against, let's just say, science, right?
Mhm.
You will reap what you
What
have
you
poured into
sow.
that,
yes,
Yes,
what you
ma'am.
God.
sow.
Mhm.
So I don't look at it as, oh, well, witchcraft. I know people that do it. I know people that
Mhm.
cut goats' throats open, roosters, and all that, and make sacrifices. When I stepped into this was not to harm anyone. This was to heal me and help others heal.
Right.
So with black magic and witchcraft and things of that nature, those people have to deal with their karma.
Mhm.
Right,
They just have to deal with that and what they've done. A lot of people feel as though when they interact with me or people like me, oh, they put something on me, this and that. No, that's what you've sowed. Now you're
right,
Mhm.
reaping that. That has
Okay.
nothing to do with me.
Period.
right,
That's it.
right.
And the thing about it is, it's just that we know that life and death lies in the power of the tongue. We know that. So
Yes.
if I'm speaking, and the thing about it is people don't understand, baby, the Bible got more curses and chants for your behind than baby. And I'm talking about will slay you from head to toe. Go to Deuteronomy if you don't believe me. So I'm just
Mhm.
saying, when you say things like that, these are just universal spiritual truth. You reap what you sow. Karma is either gonna be a bitch or a blessing. Okay. I
Right,
mean,
Correct.
it's all in what you put out there. If you put bad out there, you're gonna get bad back. If you put
Correct.
good out there, you're gonna get good back. And if you just let somebody know, look, what you're doing, you're putting bad out there. That's not a black magic spell or a curse. That's just letting you know the truth. And
right,
when you start thinking about why things are going for you like they're going and what's going on with you and why you mess up a little bit, then just think about what you did,
Right.
and
that's
and
right.
heal that so that you don't do it again.
Right,
Okay.
Hmm.
So you won't keep getting that back. But some
Learn
people
the
can just
lesson.
go in a karma in a cycle and never learn,
Yes.
you know.
You have to learn the lesson or you'll be the lesson, and that's facts. Like
that's right.
people will go through those same cycles their entire life and still not see it
Hmm.
because they're skating their way through life and
They'll
they're
get
taking
used to it.
chances. They'll get used to it. They're
Hmm.
Right,
comfortable with it. Is what they know. Maybe it's what they've been taught or what they've
Hmm.
saw others. They've seen others do.
Hmm.
So it has nothing to do with witchcraft and black magic. It has all to do with, as you all say in religion, God sits high and looks low. That's what that
Hmm.
is.
Right.
That's basically what it is. Yeah. And I mean, and basically you reap what you sow. That's going to be the same in any religion. I don't care if you Buddhist. I don't care if you in Hermetic, whatever it is that you subscribe to, reaping what you sow. And that's universal. It's just going to happen. And it has to be that way just to maintain the balance. Okay.
Right.
Just to maintain the equity in the universe, so that bad won't win all the time. And so, or whatever. And so that good can be straightened out. I mean, we live in this world, we didn't make it. We just live here and we have to, figure these things out. So now, Envy, I put these two cards up and I was telling you
Mhm.
about a reading that I got where these were the only two cards that
Mhm.
came out.
Mhm.
Okay. And so what was shown to me is that these cards are almost identical.
Mhm.
Okay. You've got two people. The people over here on the devil's side, they are bound,
Mhm.
okay? They're being watched over.
Mhm.
But then we remember that the devil card is these addictions, these sexual immoralities and issues and sexual addictions and these attachments that we have that's governing these people over here. Whereas these people, the lovers, same
Mhm.
two people, okay? But they
Mhm.
have a whole different situation. So I'm gonna take my hands off and I'm gonna let you kind of just dissertate on this.
Okay, so you stated you received these two in a reading. So what I gathered from these two cards, right? There are some things that you need to release, some addictions, some fears, some trauma, right? Could be relating to love with the Lover's card. That's Gemini energy as well as Capricorn energy. Now, that you would have to look in your birth chart to see if you have that, right? You could be tied to sex, or sex could be your addiction as far as you needing to heal that, as well as any type of partnership. So, if I relate it to career, let's just say there's an energy, a supervisor at your job, right? I'll relate
Mhm.
it to career first. As a supervisor in your job is causing chaos, a hostile work environment, right? You got
Mhm.
quid pro quo, this for that, what have you in the environment, but this is a contract that you've signed. This is symbolic of some type of union, some type of contract in regards to your career. This person is causing disharmony within the union, the contract, right? So
Mhm.
with the Lover's card, you could be very passionate about this job. You could be very um, ready, headstrong, steadfast within your work environment, but this person is causing havoc. So you have a decision to make. Do you remove yourself? Do you seek other employment, or do you stay and deal with this energy, which could drain you here? Now, if I had to relate it to, say, love, you're in a relationship that's toxic, basically. This person is draining you as well, but also you're addicted to this person, or it could be some type of trauma bond that connects you to this person, that keeps you there. Not to necessarily say that this is a marriage, but this could be some type of union that you have been in for a while, possibly, that is saying, hey, look, you're trauma bonded by whatever these addictions are, whatever this attachment that won't make you walk away from this person, whether it's sex, whether it's comfort as far as stability, finances, or what have you. Um, if I had to relate this to,
I want to kind of interrupt
mhm,
there. So stability can be a codependency. Can
correct,
someone
you can stay in a
be
relationship because of stability and finances. Yes, that can be a codependency.
okay? Okay. So, I mean, so in that, how do you heal that? I mean,
Hmm.
is it, I mean, one thing about it in many, many abusive relationships, the domestic violence, we work with them all the time. The reason they say is because of financial stability,
Hmm.
because so they put up with the abuse, they put up with whatever
Right.
situation it is, because they need that stability for the rest of their lives to work
Correct.
well.
And
Okay.
I've dealt with people like that.
Mhm.
People have come to me. One person in particular has come to me, and she stated to me, she was like, well, I don't know, because this is my stability. We've been married for 7 years, we got 2 kids, and the person was cheating on her, the person was unfaithful, liar, a bit verbally abusive, mentally abusive, but not
Mhm.
physically. That was the codependency, because she was afraid to start over. She was afraid to lose everything that she had worked on with this person, but the foundation was built on pop rocks,
Mhm.
sinking sand from the
Okay.
beginning.
Pop
For
rocks. Ooh, baby. Okay.
so I'm sorry, I'm just
No, that's fine. I like
I'm
that. Okay.
uh so when you look at it, as far as codependency can be, you staying in a relationship for finances, for stability, for a
Mhm.
child, and a lot of I say feminine energy because I use energy, feminine or masculine. They
Mhm.
stay in relationships because of the kids. And I tell them all the time, look, your children will understand you walking away and being happy. Your children
Mhm.
can pick up that energy. They can feel
Mhm.
when mommy or daddy is not happy, when they're frustrated, when they're sad. So you have to make a decision. Do you stay because of the stability and the codependency you feel of you having to remove yourself from this and start all over? Because before you met this person, where were you in life?
Mhm.
We're all able bodied individuals. So, yes, finances can be some devilish energy, codependent energy within a relationship.
Mhm. So it can definitely be a chain. It can
Hmm.
definitely be a obstacle. My goodness. So I mean, I definitely I mean that's interesting because that is definitely what I ask you to do. So if they come up together, do you want? I mean, is there a place of where? I mean, because where does that energy, that devil energy, fit into a normal person's life? Because it always comes up.
In a normal person's life, it doesn't
Just
necessarily have
regular.
to. It doesn't have to be just if someone is single, if they're by themselves. It could be a
Mhm.
mental conflict as well. You causing
Okay.
your own chaos, meaning
Oh.
overthinking, constantly in your
Mhm.
head, over analyzing certain
Anxiety.
things. Right. It could be over
Okay.
analyzing things. It could be you creating, pretty much creating your own demise because you're stuck in your thoughts. You're stuck in your head. You're making up scenarios in your mind. You're not seeking the truth. You're assuming things of
Uh-huh.
that nature. So, yes, it could be
Oh my
reside within
goodness.
just one
Right.
individual.
Yes.
That makes sense.
I've seen that happen. And that is where when you was talking about conjuring up things in your head and all of that
Hmm.
kind of thing, that is where people get off track
Correct.
in something like this. That's where people get their oh what am I trying to say? What word am I want to say disillusioned
Hmm.
maybe
Delusional. Yeah. Hmm.
okay, delusional. That's good. Okay. All right, delusional as well. And because they are I want to just take a look, you see, and the way that this was explained to me, you see how these chains are. I don't have a pointer over here
Hmm.
on
I
this
see it.
card. The
Hmm.
chains around their neck, they're not choking them.
Hmm.
They could lift those chains at any
Hmm.
time and
Hmm.
be freed from that bondage.
Excuse me. Right, but they're trauma bonded in some aspect,
Mhm.
whether it's through they're relating to each other or they got together within a partnership contract or what have you, due to past pain, past trauma. Maybe they
Mhm.
grew up without a certain parent. Maybe they went
Okay.
through some type of physical abuse. Maybe they went through school getting bullied. It could be a variety of
Mm.
things, but they trauma bonded in some type of way. So the situation becomes toxic to where they can't release each other
Wow.
Okay.
because that's how they relate to each other.
Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's very interesting because you know what? As we even go on, I've been able to heal some generational curses in my family where
Hmm.
that came up. I've been able to forgive my
Hmm.
parents for whatever it was their problem was. You know, a lot of
Hmm.
times we grow up blaming our parents. What do they say? We spend our adulthood getting over the things that happened to us in our childhood. I have been able to break some generational curses, not just to the last generation, but the generation before that generation, where
Hmm.
my grandmother and even her parents were concerned. because sometimes people say we can't help what situation we're born
We
into.
Mm-hmm.
can.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And we don't have those choices. And so there's things that might happen to us in the environment or the place that we grew up in, that create some of these attachments and addictions
Hmm.
and some of this trauma. But being able through the tarot, Envy, I have to tell you that being able to see things from a different perspective, to see things from my mother and father's perspective, even to see things
Hmm.
from my grandparents' perspective as it unfolds in the card. So, I mean, I want you to kind of, elaborate on that in that,
Hmm.
how the tarot is able to bring these things to bear.
Okay, so when you say you helped break generational curses through tarot, so what I'm taking from that, and I'll just say this, as indigenous people, we tend to believe that, the stigma is when we get to a certain place in life, we're supposed to do this for our parents or do this for people. Everyone has free will and everyone are able bodied. And if they're not, then that's where you step in. A
Mhm,
lot of times we can't break those generational curses because we're taught that we're supposed to take care of our parents. Now, this is just my opinion.
mhm,
Y'all can yay or nay, it doesn't really matter, but I don't believe that. What your
mhm,
parents didn't make of their life is not your problem. And
mhm,
that's where you have to break the generational curse, because you'll
mhm,
spend your lifetime trying to fix what they fail to work on within themselves, and it
mhm,
creates a burden on you. See,
mhm,
when people rather live you know, in a lie than accept the truth. So when
mhm,
you bring all of those skeletons out of the closet, you either going to face them and deal with them and accept them and move forward. And when you create healthy boundaries and start telling people no, that's when people start to get it. Hey, I need to wake up. This is what I need to do. So with breaking generational curses for you, I don't know what happened within that. But for me breaking generational curses is saying, hey, look, what you did with your life is not my issue. But you
mhm,
also can't live through me, because people will live through their children. They'll
mhm,
glorify them, they'll accept their trophies and their winnings. And that's how you create sometimes narcissistic people, because
mhm.
you put them on the shelf of, oh, they do this and that, and my child this and that and the third.
That
And when they
golden
fail,
child
that
syndrome.
golden
That's
Yes.
what
child,
it
yeah. And
is.
then when they fail, it's like, now what do you have to say? Now they're
Mhm,
disappointed, and now you're feeling bad because, hey, I can't make a mistake in my eyes. My parents or my elders say, oh, I do no wrong. And that's how you create narcissists sometimes. But for me,
mhm,
when I look at the tarot, and I've read for therapists, I read for nurses, I read for
mhm,
doctors. When they come to me, and they've gotten cleansings as well, when they come to
mhm,
me, I tell them the honest truth. And I'm not here to spare your feelings, and I'm also not an angry reader as well. A lot of
right.
times you'll come across readers, YouTube, what have you, they're so angry and they're
Yeah.
so karmic this and divine masculine this and divine
Mhm,
feminine. That is a person who has not healed themselves, and you've heard it from me.
mhm. I hear
They
you though.
always
I know
Yes.
speaking,
exactly what you're talking about, and
and they're using,
yeah.
they're using
Mhm,
tarot to get their anger out, and they'll
mhm,
Right.
focus on one particular sign the whole time, or say this and that. That's a person that should not be dealing with tarot, should not be trying to help people heal, because
mhm,
there is no way. It's okay to be blunt, it's okay to be honest, but when you're
mhm,
angry every time you go live or you read for
mhm,
people, that is a problem.
mhm,
And they feel as though when you're spiritual, you can't be angry. You're not human. It's supposed to be unicorns and fairy tales and bubble gum and lollipops
mhm.
all the time. I am still
Okay.
human.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
still get angry. I still express myself. I still have to tell people, look, no, this is not how you're about to handle me.
Mhm,
Right.
So when it comes to the devil card and the lover's card, which is really random for me because I rarely get that, because
mhm,
spirit just pop them out or what have you.
mhm.
Um, for me, sometimes it can be internal, sometimes it can be surrounding you. It can be what you're allowing into your life, what you're allowing to
Right.
yourself to deal with.
Mhm,
Staying mentally blocked, or as they say, the hangman card, mentally
mhm,
conflicted, wallowing in self-pity in your thoughts.
mhm.
That can cause a lot of chaos in your life when you're making up scenarios sometimes in your head that aren't even there.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Well, and that can, I mean, that can happen, in any case because people do
Yes.
that a lot, especially when they don't know the other
Hmm.
side, which is,
Right.
like I said, one thing about it now, you definitely have to have a good, a good grasp of of things, and you, like you said, it definitely is not for everybody to read for
Hmm.
other people because you can cause some confusion, and
Right.
and cause
Hmm.
people to to make some bad decisions. But the thing about it is that people change. The
Correct.
cards never change. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And
Hmm.
so as you come back around to it, because it's going to be a cycle, like you say, if you don't learn the lesson, it's going to come back around. It's going to come back. It's going to come back in a different place, a different person, a different thing, but it's going to come back around until you learn it. Now, as I was researching it, it showed that these three
Hmm.
cards are most often used when you're helping someone to cope with depression.
Hmm.
And so, and I think I don't know if you mentioned the death card, but here's your chance to,
Hmm.
because the death card is one of those cards that comes up that also gives people a little bit of pause to like, okay, what's going
Right.
on here? But the
Hmm.
death card I have found, especially for me, has been a very good card.
Okay. So, speaking specifically on the death card, with that, when it relates to life in general, death symbolizes an ending that trans is supposed to be transformed into a new beginning, right?
Hmm.
So when you think of death, someone dies, but there's a celebration. Most people, where I'm
Hmm.
from Louisiana, so we may do a second line or something like that as a celebration, as a rebirth.
The
You know,
repass.
saying that,
Hmm.
yeah, right, where we are going to remember this person, the good times, and keep them alive. So with the death card, a lot of people are like, oh my God, am I going to die? No, that doesn't symbolize that. Now,
Hmm.
if I elaborate on it or I clarify, I don't know what else may pop up after that, but it symbolizes
Right.
transformation,
Hmm.
ending old cycles, removing things that no longer serve you, saying, hey, let me recognize the problem, and now it's time to stop. I recognize what the problem is. Let me fix it. Let me transform it. Let me grow from it. Let me learn from it.
Hmm.
So the death card is not bad, but people, when they look at that and that devil card, they just get so high strung. They're like, oh my God, does that mean? No, it does not mean that. And
Hmm.
also, I tell people, even if you in the outcome, right? I could tell people an outcome in a reading, but it's up to you to change it. So you have the
Yes.
option. I'm telling
Hmm.
you what may come forward in the future. This may be the outcome, right?
Hmm.
But it's up to you to
And where do you
transform
get
that.
that? Where do you where and that's where I want to stop because you can say as we put the outcome up, okay,
Hmm.
in the reading.
Hmm.
We're not telling the future. Okay.
Hmm.
We're not being psychic and saying this is what's going
Right.
to happen. We're
Right.
saying based on, and we could even say based on statistics, I mean,
Hmm.
let's look at it scientifically. A situation like this, if you keep going in this direction, this is what's going to happen.
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
You
Right.
can change that because you have free will. Okay. You can look at the situation and you can say, if I don't want that outcome, I can change the situation. Do you give other scenarios as to if you don't want this outcome in a reading, then what you need to do
Hmm.
is to do this in order to get a different outcome.
Correct. I tell them throughout the entire reading.
Hmm.
Um, and throughout from the beginning to the end, I use
Hmm.
my oracle cards and then I go into the tarot. The oracle cards are kind of like an overall perspective of what's going on in their life. And then
Hmm.
once the tarot just pretty much clarifies what the oracle has already said. So
Hmm.
when I get to the outcome of
Something like that. Hmm.
what may happen, right?
Hmm.
It's up to them. And I tell you, look, okay, this is what's happening. You're having money issues. You're doing too much spending, too much shopping. You have too many addictions. It look like shopping could be an addiction for you. If you don't, later on down the road, this could be a problem in regards to you being able to do this or that. So that's something that you need to change or pretty much fix.
Hmm.
And they listen. They do.
Hmm.
And it's just what it is. I tell them all the time, I'm not psychic. I cannot predict the future,
Mhm.
but my readings are about 99.9% accurate. So
Mhm.
when I tell them that, they take the suggestion, and then
Cause the
later on when they
cards
come back,
never lie,
they
right?
they don't. They
The
don't.
cards never
They
lie, and
don't.
that's what I was meaning when I say we change. The cards don't change, and the
They don't.
cards
Right.
never lie, and that's really the truth. Elaborate on that a little bit for me, Envy.
Um, well, I have a woman that comes to me. She's been coming to me for about 2 years. She gets the same cards all the time. She
Mhm.
Mhm.
never asks about love. She never asks about love. She always asks about her career, and that's what comes up. She's not focused on love. And the reason
Mhm.
why she's not focused on love because of what she's been through in her past. Whether or not she
Mhm.
wants to heal that, she'll laugh it off with me and be like, "Look, I'm not worried about that, this or that," but she is concerned with love. So she
Yeah.
knows the steps that she needs to take as far as finding love. She's just not focused on it. And every time I read for her, the same cards pop up: Ace of Pentacles, Queen of Pentacles, things of that nature. So it's like it's her energy that comes
Mhm.
through in the cards. I
Right.
can't make it up. I can't force it. It's just what it is.
Wow.
Wow.
And the fact that the cards never lie, because like I said, I mean, that you
Hmm.
have a deck of cards, and they're only gonna go, you
So far.
know,
Yep.
so
So
far,
far.
and it's gonna be the truth. And the thing about it is, I've never had a reading that was not true. I never have. And so it just is what it is, but because of that, I've
Mhm.
been able to make some very detrimental changes in my life, that I might not have made. I'm 51 years old, and there's some changes that I probably should have made 20 years ago that I just
Mhm.
made in the last 2 to 3 years because I just didn't have the tools that I needed to actually say, okay, I need to change this. This is a problem. And really and truly, when you look at something, we know the definition of insanity. So at some point you have to say, if this same thing keeps happening to me, then guess
Right.
what? I'm the
Mhm.
problem. you know
Hmm.
and that's where the self discovery come in, the self awareness comes in, to when you do realize that you are the problem, and that to stop pointing the finger at everybody else and do something. So that's what I mean, Envy, when I say breaking
Hmm.
generational curses in
Hmm.
myself. Whereas I don't want to do the same thing that mom, grandmom, great grandma, that I don't want to do the same thing. So no, I can't fix it for them, but I can fix it for me.
Right.
Right. Right.
And that goes back to setting those healthy boundaries, you know,
Mhm.
not accepting what you did and what you accepted in the past that didn't work for you. Where you didn't use your intuition or didn't use discernment in order to say, hey, no, this is something that I don't need to deal with. Maybe you had a codependency issue, or maybe there was something that you didn't heal, whereas you recognized it, you fixed it, and now it's like, no, I can't do that. And
Mhm.
you see people drop off real quick. The phone
I've
becomes real
seen it.
dry.
I've seen
Yeah.
that. I've
It
seen,
will. Yes, ma'am.
in the last couple of years, I definitely have seen people drop out. And I think that, yeah, I don't think that was because, like I was just like, oh, you getting gone, you getting cut, you getting cut. But as you heal and place those boundaries, you realize that it's detrimental to your own survival.
Hmm. Yes, ma'am.
That if you have to cut people, places, and things out that are not serving, it's detrimental to your own survival, but then it's also detrimental to theirs, because if you allow somebody to keep doing the same thing, they're going to keep doing it.
Yes,
Sure.
ma'am.
It's called cord cutting in the tarot world.
And that's another thing. See, we need another hour because you know cord cutting, spiritually, my thought is that safe to be cord cutting, or can you just release that person in light and love and go on about your business, and maybe just cut someone off? But I mean,
Well, it depends on the attachment you have because a lot of people they don't believe in certain things.
mhm,
It could be something that someone bought for you, right? And you're
mhm,
Right.
wondering why this person is still lingering around. Maybe they bought you a coffee pot.
mhm,
You make your coffee every morning, and so you wondering why, oh, this person I stopped calling me, or this person I saw this person at the gas station, I saw him at the library. And so you're wondering what's going on. No, you have to cut the cord. That means remove everything that's symbolic of their energy out of your
Mm-hmm.
energy.
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm. And that's not no kind of black magic or witchcraft. That's just
No, you can simply throw it
right.
in the trash can.
Right.
Right.
Okay. Just taking out the trash because it ain't gonna take
Yes,
itself out.
right.
My goodness. Okay. And so that's one of the things, Envy, that I wanted to shed light on because there are certain things that we can do for ourselves, that other people might say, "Oh, you performing witchcraft, you doing something with my stuff." No, I'm not. I'm just putting
No,
it out of my house. I'm just
right,
throwing
Right.
it away.
Right.
right.
You know, that type of thing. Okay. So, but you know what? There are some objects, and maybe we'll be able to do this on another show because I did get rid of a certain object that had been causing, and I'm not going to go
Mm-hmm.
into it, but it had been
Mm-hmm.
causing an
Mm-hmm.
actual physical manifestation of heat in
Mm-hmm.
this world. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And
wow.
as soon as I threw it out, it stopped.
Yep.
So those things are that's real. We need to know
It
that this
is.
battle is spiritual and that there can be some connections and attachments to people, places, and things that you really do have to get out of your energy because it can affect you negatively. The thing
Yes,
about it is,
ma'am.
is that you should never lean on a tarot reader, a preacher, a guru, a hoodoo, or nothing. Lean not to your own understanding.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
but you have to
Mm-hmm.
trust in the Lord. If you are going to be seeking higher, then you have to seek Him. And when you seek Him, you will find Him. And you may find Him through the tarot, you may find Him through the church, you may find Him through other organized religion. Religion and spirituality are two different things. You can have one without the other.
You
Okay, you
can.
can go into
Mm-hmm.
cults and all this kind of stuff. You can go in, or you can just decide what's right for you and
Mm-hmm.
create your own practices because ultimately it's the great I am. Okay. It's the
Yes.
great I am in you that you need to be to be getting to know
Right.
and following that leading and all. God is pleased to make himself known to you, so and he wants you to know definitely the difference between the truth and a lie, and there is no place that God cannot be. You can find God in a tarot reading. I'm here and I'm a living witness that you can. I really have. I can't say that I've ever had a reading where God was not present, where the
Right.
Holy Spirit was not present. And for me, for this today, is just to demystify this whole situation and this whole thing, so people can, at least not be afraid of it. I'm not pushing it on anybody and telling people, oh, this is what you need to do, but at least don't be afraid.
Right. Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
You ladies have any final words before we go?
No, ma'am. I would just like to thank you for coming on and, you know, clarifying what it is not.
Hmm.
A lot of people needed to hear that, and I do agree. I could probably go on another hour talking more about crystals and whatnot and how to charge
We
them.
will do that.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. But I do want to thank you for coming on and sharing your knowledge with us tonight. It was very enlightening.
I want to thank you all for having me. Just to allow me to clarify some things due to recent events and just allowing me to express what I do and what is done and what I do and don't do. So thank you all.
Mhm. Absolutely. I always follow the leading of the Holy Spirit, and I always expect and get the best outcome. This was very enlightening tonight. I definitely want to invite you back, Indy, if you want to come and give us a little a primer on crystals and what we need to have, how, to use the sage and anything that you can offer us to help us to grow, okay, and to self actualize and and get our lives together. If you would like to come back, you are definitely welcome back as a friend of the show. All
Yes,
right.
ma'am.
Okay,
All right.
anytime.
Well, Thank you all for joining us tonight. If you have found this broadcast to be in any way helpful to you, then please go ahead and share it with a friend. Comment on it if you would like. You will be able to find it on YouTube as well, on the Hot Pink Radio channel, as well as on Listen Honey Child, our spiritual channel, as well as my own homepage. You can follow Envy Whom, the Tarot Queen of Swords, and of course, Miss Stephanie, my lovely new co-host, and we are so
Yes,
glad to have been with
ma'am.
you guys. All right, then. Good night. Thank you, guys. Bye bye.
Good
Bye
night.
bye.